I had a machine maybe 10 years ago at work, and it was used to cut a cutting machine. My daughter, Melanie, worked for me, and she was probably 16 at the time, something like that. And on this machine, there were 4 little screws that were like for fine adjustments. It was for applying light pressure to something. And so to adjust this machine, you would very carefully and lightly adjust these screws to provide the right pressure on this machine. Well, she didn't completely understand the principle of that machine, and so she was working it, and it wasn't quite working right, and she adjusted it, and she took those screws and she torqued them down hard. And one of them broke. Okay, one of them broke. And the worst thing about that was this machine was kind of like a Chinese puzzle where you take the first part out so you can take the next parts out. Where the first part to take out was the part where the screw was broken. So it was a real challenge to get the thing apart. And but I did get it apart finally, and I had the screw, I got it out, and I was able to look at it under a microscope. The thing was so fine, and determine what the specifications would be. I went on the internet, I searched. I was able to find that, yes, I know what the specification for it is. It was the M, whatever the specification. So I knew what it was, but I could not find one anywhere. I could say, I know what this thing is, I know it exists. Nobody on the internet anywhere had one for sale. So I kind of, had a lot of things going on. I threw the screws in the cup, went on, and I did some other things. And probably about a week later, it's like, well, I got to get this machine going. It has 4 screws. I'll put the 3 in the most critical place. We'll see what happens, right? In reality, I could have drilled it and tapped it and put something else in because I couldn't find that screw. But I just thought, I'm just going to put these 3 in. We'll see what happens. So I was at the machine, and I reached into the cup, and I pulled out the first screw and put it in. Reached into the cup, the second one, put it in. I reached into the cup for the third one. At this point, I'm like, wow, 3 for 3. That was pretty cool, right? Put that in, and then I grabbed the cup just to dump the broken one into my hand. I dumped it out, and it was whole. There was this screw, perfectly solid. And I mean, for an engineer, I pray for healing. I've seen healing, but there's always kind of... But I want to tell you, okay, from an engineer's world, right? I can say, okay, I prayed for healing. This person was healed, and well, maybe they weren't that bad, or maybe the drugs kicked in, right? Or so there's always this. Yeah, I think that was a healing, right? And we'll say it was healing, but God, for an engineer, what more is there than to say this was a broken bolt and it's together? I never need another miracle in my life to say God could do anything, right? So praise the Lord. So did he take those 2 halves and make them go together, or did he just pull that one out of the cup and throw it in? I don't know. But that screw was whole and complete, and we're still using it today. So praise the Lord. So first of all, I want to say, I believe in miracles. We believe in miracles. God can do anything, absolutely anything. So I told Melanie about it, and I said, do you know what? I had this, and you know what her word was? Oh, I'm so glad, because I prayed that God would fix your machine. It wasn't because of me, you know what, since we have not, because we asked that, I didn't ask God to fix my machine, but Melanie did. Boy. So, yeah. No, that was all in her heart, and anyway, long story. But that was probably the tiniest miracle that you could, what's tinier than taking a little screw and putting it together, right? It was insignificant. It was even, I would say, unnecessary, but that's what God did, because that's what she needed. That's what I needed to point to him at that time.